Here we are again, two grumpy people.
On the road still.
This time we're doing a quick review of
Kaibab National Forest area.
And in particular, the Dogtown Road. And
right next to Dogtown Lake.
Campsite area. It's a very rustic little area. There are no services.
Of any kind.
Yeah, no bathrooms, no trash cans.
There's not much of anything, although if you continued up Dogtown Road and actually went all the way to the lake, there is a little bit of a park area where there is some picnic tables, some restroom facilities, and a couple trash cans.
So the only restrooms in the park are directly at the lake at the little picnic area.
Yes.
And those are not flush toilets, but they are very clean and quite spacious when you went in there and well stocked. So there's, you know, they have a little, a lake representative or something like that they call it.
A little host.
Yeah, host.
A little park host.
So if you have any questions, you can do that there.
Yeah.
Normally they do allow fires. You can kind of see the remnants of one of the fire pits here, and there's another to my left. But right now the fire risk is very high, so you can't build a fire in the park right now.
Yes.
And you can see evidence of the reason why
all around
the park. I actually got some great pictures of some falling trees. There's one in particular I was I thought was kind of stood out as an example of what happens with the fire.
Yeah.
You could see that it burnt the base of the tree and sort of hollowed it out a bit and burnt one whole side. And when that whole side went, it was no longer able to support the top of the tree, and so the top of the tree toppled over. So you could see very clearly how sometimes forest fires travel from the tops of trees to tops of trees, and sometimes they're in the low underbrush, which is why they try to keep the underbrush down to a minimum, because if it catches there, then of course it sweeps across the forest at the ground level.
Yes.
So there's evidence all throughout the park of burning. Some of it is intentional burning on the part of the park, trying to keep it, keep the underbrush down and keep the number of trees to a minimum. Not to a minimum, but
to optimum levels.
To an optimum levels, yes. It's for the health of the forest. But some of them are either accidental. People have accidentally, they let their campfire get out of hand or something like that.
And then there's a few of them that looks like lightning strikes, possibly.
Yes. So you can see just pretty much every kind of evidence of fire out here in this little forest area. So you can see why they're very particular about not setting fires when the fire danger is high. There are a lot of winds.
Yes.
And in fact, this is one of the calmer days, but you could probably hear the breeze still.
You probably, yeah.
And it's extremely dry here.
Yes, it is pretty dang dry.
And that's one of our tips, I guess, we would give is if you come here, do expect everything to be very dry and very dusty. So you might want to bring you like a little spray bottle of water or something like that you can sort of spray down everything to keep the dust down to a minimum. Lots of wet wipes. Make sure you bring your lotion. If it's going to be cold at all during your stay, you'll probably want to bring some gloves. In the cold weather with the high winds and the dryness, your hands will very quickly crack and peel and become very sore. So yes, you're in the desert, but yes, it does get cold.
That's one of the things that not everyone actually remembers about Grand Canyon, and especially a lot of people come during the summer, and it's Arizona. You expect it to be warm, but just the other day, I think 60 during the day, and this is May.
We saw a lot of people walking around freezing.
Their tushies off,
cold
yes.
Weather, yes, because they had come with just little light jackets or just shirt sleeves, not really expecting it to be that cold.
Yes. And then there's within town, within Williams, it's a little bit warmer because you're not up in the canyon. But at the same time, if you come out here to the woods, it's going to be cooler still because you're surrounded by all the trees and you're nowhere near a lot of the city hustle and bustle.
Yeah, it actually did snow here the other day.
Yeah, there was a little bit of snow.
I meant to get pictures of the snow on the ground.
It actually stuck for one night.
Yeah, but by the next day it was
by noon it was gone.
It was still cold though.
Yes, it was still chilly.
And actually today's beautiful out here.
Gorgeous weather today.
Yeah, it's probably about 68-ish.
That's what I got. That's what my phone said it was. Yeah. So we'll see.
Hey, I'm pretty good. Hey, I knew it was just under 70. That's what I'm going with. Other kinds of advice we could give. One of the things that I would say is, as a PSA, be a good neighbor. Don't leave all the trash and the broken things. I've taken pictures already of several things right here in our little campground.
Yes.
There's broken glass in the fire pit.
Oh yeah, that
Someone
one's
left
just
a
filled with it.
a trash bag just laying out in the grass near the road. Additional trash and stuff out in the wooded area. In the fire pits, they tend to leave a lot of trash, whether it be in one we saw like bedding and stuff.
Yeah.
In one of them I took a picture of today, there was like a smushed milk, the plastic milk bottles.
Milk jugs.
They actually do recycling here, right if you go up to the lake, there's a little recycling bin.
Yes.
So there's no reason to throw your recycling on the ground. And there's no reason to throw your trash on the ground because there's also trash bins up there. If you're not a camper, a registered camper, they're going to charge you about $1 a bag. I think that's what it said, right?
Yeah. There's $1 a bag for outside trash. There is some camping on the other side of the lake as well.
Yes.
That's within the actual lake. I believe they do take registration for that one.
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
That one's like, I think they took, because I called about it, was $10 per vehicle.
Yeah.
Or per camping unit. So you just have to check with the camp host.
With the host.
About that.
In each area, and they're all individual. So
there's no camping directly on the lake in the little picnic area. That's day use only, but around the other side of the lake.
Yes,
there's camping.
And there's also a nice ramp for if you want to take a boat out there. But
There's
be warned.
fishing.
Yes, there is fishing. But be warned, if you are going to take a boat, they only allow electric motors in these waters in this general area.
Yeah, because of the pollution.
Exactly.
Again, like we said, they're very big on keeping the pollution to a minimum. Right?
Yes.
The fishing is trout.
Yes, trout fishing.
So, and I think they have a
6 catch maximum for regular with permit people. If you're under 3 or blind,
you're under 10.
Oh, under 10. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're under 10 or legally blind, you're allowed to catch 3, and you do not need a permit at all.
Yes. So, they do ask that you not bring any live bait, fish bait, or other kind of no live bait. Only dead bait or the fake
lures and stuff
that they make. No live baits is allowed,
and you're not allowed
because this is a national forest, and we're trying to preserve it as much as possible.
As well as you're not allowed to take anything live out of that little campground area either.
No live fish. You can't just take your fish out and put it in a bucket as some people do. It has to be dead on ice or whatever.
Yes.
Or no live animals. Obviously, don't pick up any turtles or frogs or anything like that. Take them home as a souvenir. They're happier here anyway, so best to leave them alone.
They're trying to keep the trout population to a proper level, and to keep people from just taking a whole bunch of them home.
And you have to remember, some of the different lakes are stocked with different fish species, and some of them are invasive, and some of them will kill and take over the lake.
And if you accidentally put in your own whatever living fish or other things into the lake, you never know what might have havoc. And it is just a closed-off reservoir, so
we had a big problem with that in Hawaii.
Yeah, they did.
There's really no reason to use live bait. From what we've heard, that people are quite successful using whatever they're using around here. So,
and if you follow the road that you turn off to get onto Dogtown Road, if you follow all the way down, it turns into 4th Street in Williams, and at the end of that is the outdoor shop where you can get all the bait and permits there.
Yeah, that's right. And other camping and fishing gear that you need.
Exactly.
In fact, a lot of places in town sell fishing and camping gear, but that's a particular stuff.
That's convenient and right there at the end of the road.
But True Value had the fishing stuff too. They had lures and reels and all kind of good stuff. So pretty much anything you need, you can buy in town. Might be a little more expensive than usual.
Yeah, as we've already mentioned, this area is not really maintained too much.
No,
if at all.
It's a rustic area.
Very, very rustic. And so the roads are as found by campers. If someone came in on a muddy day and you come in, it's a dry day, you're going to find some pretty serious ruts.
Rabbit.
Oh, we found a rabbit.
It's off in the woods. I'm surprised they're not going crazy chasing it.
I think the dogs are tired. The main road is a gravel road, which isn't too bad, but be careful when you turn into your campsite, because they do carve ditches along the side, and most of the time they're still
about
there.
A foot deep too. So
yes, they can get pretty big.
You will sink down into them, especially if you have a small car or a heavy loaded vehicle like we do.
Yes. Also to worry about is the rocks, as we mentioned in the other video, jetting up right in the worst possible points.
And I actually took some pictures of the front of our of where we turned in, so you can see, you know, approximately the kind of rocks and ruts that we're talking about. I mean, they're not boulders, but they are certainly large enough if you're riding a low-riding vehicle or heavily loaded vehicle that you can take out the bottom of your vehicle.
We've been driving in and out of this campsite over the last 3 days, and at least 2 of the 4 or 5 times that we've driven out, we've scraped the bottom of the vehicle.
You definitely jar your teeth pretty good.
Yeah. Ka-dunk! Yeah, that's not fun to hear.
No, not at all.
Or feel.
You'll also notice that the each of the little turn-ins for the camping designated areas have little piles, a little pier of rocks. That's sort of the traditional historical symbol for turn here, or this is a
something
trail.
You should look at. Yeah.
So that's
as
what
well
you're used to looking for if you've ever been camping. It's very, very clear where you're supposed to turn off, and they ask that you not turn off
wherever
where it's not supposed to be a marked area.
There's also marker signs saying campsite such and such.
Yes, they number them so you can.
Campsite 140C or whatever.
Although some of the numbers are kind of hard to see, and sometimes they're only not numbered from one direction. So if you're coming this way, you can see it, but if you're coming this way, you can't. So.
But it's another marker to look for.
You might want to, once you've claimed your spot, you know, tie yourself a reflective tape onto a tree or put out something, especially if you're going to be coming back and it's dark and you don't have a light on your campsite, like if you're in a tent or something.
Yes.
You know, use a glow stick or something to mark so that you can see it at nighttime, because you may not be able to see
exactly
the numbers.
And you may not be able to see a little pile of rocks.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky.
Street lights even on the gravel.
No,
so
there's nothing. It is truly pitch black at night. The only light you get in your camp area that is not produced by you is the moon and stars.
Yeah. Other campers.
Yes.
If it's during a more busy time, I'm sure there would be a lot more light because there'd be more people camping.
Exactly.
We got our first neighbors yesterday, so.
Yes, we got a nice little group that parked that way.
Yes, yeah. And you could see, I took pictures to show about how far away the various little camping spots are. Not all of them are really appropriate for an RV.
Yes.
Some of them are just intended for a tent. So make sure that you scout your area before you go driving up into the woods along these trails.
If you have
might not be able to turn around.
If you have a secondary vehicle, that would be the best thing to do.
There's actually a little part, if you turn in, if you're coming directly from Williams and you turn into on Dogtown Road, there's a little posted map that's a great place to turn in there, stop, let one of your party go ahead, scout the area, and then you can all just go.
Plus you can get your bearings to figure out how much further to.
And these campsites are really good because you could get a large, if you had like 3 or 4 families traveling together or a group of scouts or something, a lot of these, you know, you could turn off into one campsite and there'll be several little sites branching off of it.
That's exactly what we've got on this one.
Animals, there are lots of animals.
Oh, yes.
One thing to be very, very careful of if you're driving into this campground, as we said, that there's no lighting at night.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of deer and elk, and they do cross the road, and they do come stand very close to the road. So slow down a lot at night, especially at daybreak, and then again at dusk is when they are most frequently out there by the road.
Yes, posted 25 miles an hour is very important to follow. Some people don't.
Obviously.
You know, you might feel confident, but especially as it gets darker, and
you really won't see them until you're right up on top of them, and it's much too late to try to stop at that
exactly.
point, so.
This dirt road is not easy to start and stop on, and it does wind quite a bit. Yeah. And there are some blind corners, so be very careful about speed.
It's easy to think that you can see, because you can see the road pretty clearly, so it's easy to think that you can see whatever's, but you can't you won't see the deer until they're right up on top of you. You know, their coloration and all.
Exactly.
And the elk are really quite large. If you've ever seen a donkey or a mule, that's about the size of these elk. So if you run into one, you're going to do some serious damage to your vehicle, and you'll probably kill it, and there'll be fines and
all kinds of fun stuff.
So, even if they don't fine you because they say, okay, it was in the road, it wasn't your fault, you still have to wait for them to come out and do a report. So.
And it did some major damage to your vehicle in the meantime.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It may not be all that easy to find someone to come out and tow you in the middle of the night out here at Dogtown Road.
Yes.
Although it's probably not that hard because we're relatively... The other thing about, and Puppy here is reminding me, right? You're supposed to keep your dogs on a leash or on a tie out all the time. You are in a national park. There's all kinds of wild animals out here. There are coyotes, goats, elk, deer. I don't know if there might be other sorts of wild animal. I'm sure there are. But obviously you wouldn't want, you know, a squirrel or some other wild animal to bite your dog, and, you know, and then you'd be at the vet getting rabies shots. That's never fun.
Not only that, but it'll also keep them from having a ability to run away. You may say, oh, my dog will never do that, but
you're out here in a new environment with all kinds of temptations. You know, there are other campers out here also with their dogs. So there might be a lot of reason for they're going to be a little anxious.
Like this guy right here.
They're wanting a little more attention than normal because, you know, they're out here in a strange environment.
Yes.
So it's just a good idea to keep them on some sort of tie out, some sort of leash. It's also the rule, so.
Yes.
There are also lots of prairie dogs out here. We went walking directly behind our home, a couple of those small mounds. And then we went walking just probably 3 feet off the trail.
Yeah.
And we looked down and suddenly realized we were in the midst of dozens of them. We were in one of their little towns. You had to walk very gingerly to avoid stepping on their little mounds. So.
Yeah.
Something to be careful of. Also something to keep in mind if you have dogs, because they're going to want to dig up the mounds and bother the prairie dogs. And this is their home. You shouldn't be bothering them. Obviously, certainly don't want to be killing them. But even if you don't care about that, you probably should care about your pet and realize these are wild animals and they have diseases.
Yeah.
They have fleas on them that carry, they said plague, among other things.
Oh yes, fleas and ticks.
You do have to be aware that we are in a forest, so you can look out for ticks and fleas that carries, walking around spotted fever.
Yep.
Especially if you're going to be out at dawn or dusk, because again, that's when a lot of people want to be out to be spotting deer and so forth. So one thing to keep in mind if you're going to be out spotting deer or elk is to keep your distance from them. The park rangers recommend about a football field between you and elk. That's a lot if you think about it.
Yes.
And the elk here in this park will actually walk up to you closer than that.
Oh yeah.
So you want to be very careful if you're going to be photographing them. You might want to stand behind a tree, something like that, so that if they do decide to charge, you can, kind of duck behind cover. They are very agile and pretty quick, so definitely don't think that you're going to outrun them. They can cover a football field in really quick time. For deer, they said about, 30 feet? I think that's what they said, something like that. About 6 car lengths for a deer. And if you have any modern digital camera, your zoom is you'll be able to get a great picture from a lot further away than 6 car. The deer that I spotted today, I just went out for a little walk to take a picture of a burnt tree for this video, and I spotted some deer out in the woods, and they were easily as far away as like the average parking lot. It's hard to get a picture of them because they're in between trees, but you can clearly see them just with the naked eye from that distance, and then using just a little bit of zoom, you could get right up onto them and get a very clear picture of them. And they're not that particularly shy.
No, they're not really shy at all. So I think that'll do it for today's Two Grumpy People.